So yeah, we've always been kind of physical.
Yeah.
Just our whole existence.
Yes.
So then once we got together, we started doing CrossFit because that's when that was popping off. And we swore we were so busy that we needed to do like really fast circuit style training. So we would do that at Bally's.
We're doing CrossFit in like Bally's 24 hours.
Yeah, we would do this at Bally's before it became mainstream. So people were like, what the hell, these freaking weird ass people. And we were getting in people's ways, and we were trying to do circuits by using like multiple machines or stations, not mainly machines, but stations.
And we lived in Monterey Park, which is pretty much Chinatown.
Right.
So there is no CrossFit gym. For those of you that are like, why don't you just go to a CrossFit gym?
They didn't exist that much.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the ones that did exist, it was like $300 a month or something ridiculous. Like it was really expensive. So it was super exclusive. So then we were like, damn it. Okay, well, we can't do this at our gym, at a commercial gym, just because they're going to kick us out. Because you were deadlifting and they were like, hey, can you please not drop the weight? And it's like 400 pounds. And it's like, well, I mean, it's gravity, dude. Like, I'm not trying to slam the weight. It's just with gravity, it pulls it and it just kind of vibrates. So then we started looking for alternative gyms, and all of them around us were just like really like mismatched, and they just were dirty and grimy, and like they were, it just wasn't our vibe. Like I remember you had bought, because I think you just got into powerlifting. So you bought the powerlifting of that time shoe, and that was the Chuck.
Yeah.
And you bought white ones, and we went to this powerlifting gym. And it was like your Chucks just got dirty within 5 minutes.
I remember I powerlifted for a whole year, and the amount of stains I got at this powerlifting gym we went to, it was in 3 minutes, my white Chucks were now gray Chucks. And I'm like, this place is freaking nasty.
Yeah, and that whole year they were all white, and then within 3 minutes, nasty. So then at that point you were like, damn, I think I'm just going to have to build my own gym. So Barbell Brigade really came from just you, right? And then you asked your friends like if they wanted to jump in on it.
It was actually smaller than that. It was actually at first, I remember I was like, hey, Ma Bear.
Oh, the house gym.
Yeah, like I really wanted to lift. And I'm like, if I can't lift at like a commercial gym, I was like, can I put a squat rack in our living room? And you're like, hell no.
Okay, wait. How big was our like, we had like 500
I know. It was a
feet.
ridiculous request, 100%.
How big was the space though?
Probably like the living room, probably like 50 square feet or
yes,
something.
Yes, that's what it was. Okay.
Yeah. So I understand why she would say no. And
can't even believe you would ask.
Never hurts to ask. Never hurts to ask.
It never hurts to ask.
Hey, I've been taught for 12 years straight, there are no bad questions.
There's a fuck ton of bad questions.
Hey.
Who are you pointing at?
Mrs. Ivonnet, in your fucking face. Don't tell me that bullshit. Mr. Canales, in your face. Miss Anderson, there are bad questions, okay?
Hell yeah, they're bad questions.
All right. Anyways, yeah, so I think then that's when me, my buddies, Han Champion, shout outs to him, and then Ice One Cube, Frank, I was just telling him about this idea. I'm like, hey, I know you guys come to LA a lot. Like, would you guys be down to chip in and get like this big old container? Because back then I was still in the Marine Corps. And so I worked out of containers a lot. So I know the capabilities of them. So I'm like, can we get a container and stock it full of equipment? And I don't know, maybe it's like a couple $100 per person. And I just pass out locks and we can go ham. And we'll just park it in the back of JK. And they were like super down. And I just kept talking. So beyond those two, I started talking to more people. And then I think in like a day's worth of text, 20 people were like, I'm down. And that's when I came back to you. I'm like, hey, babe, I think this might be bigger than just a container.
Yeah. And then somehow something went where I think one of them was working full time. The other one was traveling a lot. So just the timing didn't work out with you three.
Yeah.
And then you were just like, hey, do you want to do it with me?
Yeah.
And at that time I was just like, yeah, I mean, like.
Were you scared? Were you like, you want to open a gym?
No, because I didn't look at that point. I had produced so much and I've done so much of JK stuff where it's like I was writing like binding contracts for touring shows. Like you guys were touring in Australia and Malaysia and stuff.
She was our manager too.
And like I was handling all of that. Like I wasn't with you guys, but I coordinated people picking you up, taking you to eat, picking you up dropping you off at a hotel, picking you up. Like I was doing all this stuff from home. And like, so I had my hands in everything. Yeah. Like I was doing everything. Yeah. So
you did a great job too, by the way, if I never thanked you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, you never did. But yeah,
you did a really good job.
So when you presented this, I had like my YouTube background of like, fuck it, try it. Like, what's the worst that can happen type of mentality.
Yeah.
And I love you so fucking much and I want to support your dreams, that this wasn't my dream. Like a gym was never something that I was like, not that was yours either.
That wasn't your childhood dream to open a gym?
No.
I'm just kidding.
So it wasn't my thing, you know? Like for me, I wanted to do more of like shelter, like pet, like animal stuff.
Yeah.
So when you presented this idea, I'm like, okay, cool. I guess this time around, I'm going to support Papa with his thing. And I was just honored that you even saw enough potential in me to be like, hey, I want to do it with you.
Maybe that was my version of telling you did a really great job of everything you had to do. And so you're even worth my breath of sharing this idea with.
I never took it like that. I just took it as, because the way you presented it to me, no offense, but you were like, I think it would be cool if I just start something with you. So it sounded like, because you love me, you just wanted to do something with the love of your life. So it wasn't like, oh, I mean, that's sweet too, but it just didn't seem like, oh, because you're capable. It was more like, well, you're my girlfriend and I love you. We should have our own thing. Like, that's what it felt like. So
well,
I
I'm
was just
sorry.
like,
I messed up. You are extremely capable. You've managed, you've produced, you've done so many back end things for JK. You've even designed a bunch of stuff on Adobe for JK.
Yeah.
So she's the one that got the Uncle Sam hats made.
Oh, yeah, I did. I've never done anything on Adobe at that time. I didn't know. I only knew basic Photoshop skills just because of MySpace.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, you know, when you wanted to like do crazy filters or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I did. So when you asked me for it, I was just like, yeah, why wouldn't I want to support you? And
that's very sweet of you.
And then we started looking at like equipment. I was like, oh my God, how are we gonna get money?
Even before that we didn't know anything about brick and mortar business.
Oh, right.
Because like, you know, like when you have like JK Films, like online business is way different. Like online business, a lot of the logistical stuff you don't really have to worry about, because you can just, like, let's say you want to start selling like little mini trees or something, right? You build the product out and then you take a couple photos, you put it on the website. You have a shopping cart that's attached, like something like Shopify or ShipStation or whatever.
But we didn't even do that. That's already closer to brick and mortar.
All right,
than what we were
we didn't
doing.
even deal with the public.
We didn't do any of that.
So I think that's the part that really freaked us out. But then, unlike, we didn't have Skillshare back then, so we're like, what do we do? And we went to Barnes and Noble and we just bought a how to build a business book.
But it wasn't. We didn't even know what correct book to buy.
Yeah.
So it was like a business, like brick and mortar business or something like that for dummies. Like it was part of the For Dummies series.
I think we were literally sitting on the floor in the Barnes and Noble in Pasadena, and I think the only reason we chose the book that we did is because it had worksheets in the back. So it was like, okay,
we're like,
I remember.
We got homework.
Yeah, I remember what it was. It was how to build a business plan. Oh, so it was like every chapter had this worksheet, and then so at the end of the whole book, you would have had your business plan because you would have filled out everything, just like school.
Yeah.
So we're like,
that's funny.
Oh, let's do this one, because even the dummies one didn't have a worksheet.
You're
we're like, how are we gonna plan that? Like, it's cool if I have all this theoretical knowledge about someone else's business, but what about what we want to build?
Yeah. Yeah, damn, that's a good memory. So for me at that point, because I was so used to building on people's ideas, that when this idea came up, I'm like, well, what's the difference now? Like, yeah, it's just a different format. That's gonna take some studying and get used to. But I've told you this off camera, like I've never once in my life ever felt like I can fail anything.
Wow.
I've told you this.
I know.
And it's
but
not,
if you don't say it on camera, it never happened.
Okay, fine. But and this is not to sound cocky or like, oh, I know everything, but it's more to be like, I just have a really positive mindset when it comes to new shit. Like, I'm just more like, all right, I don't know what I'm doing, but like, what's the worst that can happen? You know, like, I'm not going to die. Like, that's pretty bad.
Why don't you go free soloing with Taika on your back?
Because I'd probably die.
But you're good at everything.
That's not what I said. I literally said that I'm not saying it to say that I'm good at everything. I'm just saying that I don't feel like I can fail.
Can you fail free soloing with Taika on your back?
I absolutely can.
Okay.
So when the consequence is death, okay?
Right.
When it's death and I feel like the percentage of my death happening is pretty high, then I probably won't do that.
I'll put bubble wrap on the bottom.
Then I probably won't fail. I'll probably fall.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't consider that a fail. I'd be like, okay, well, now I know not to do that again.
Not to go back again.
Yeah.
That's dope. That's dope mindset.
So I've always kind of felt that my whole life. Like there was two things I always felt. The first one was I'm never going to downgrade. Like ever. Like for anything, like I will never want to downgrade. So whether that's like materialistic things or with my relationships with people, like in any sort of aspect, I will never downgrade to whatever my own standards are.
Yeah.
And I've yet to do that.